All right. The fight against drug abuse and trafficking in Nigeria is now taking a fiercer approach. The Senate has approved a bill prescribing death sentence for persons found guilty of producing and consuming hard drugs. The bill amended Section 11 of the NDLEA Act, which initially prescribed life imprisonment for offenders. Senator Adams Oshiomhole, representing Edo North, who opposed the death penalty, was ruled out of order by the Senate President, who presided over the session. Dairo, this is more stringent because the way drug abuse and peddling of drug around the country, you know, it's spreading across our youth, amongst our youths. I think this should be a law that will serve as a deterrent.
But you see, the way the law is crafted,
hard drugs.
The way the law is crafted, the way, you know, the language, the way, you know, the law is presently, it's very chaotic to actually implement the penalty on such a law. And that is why I agree with Adams Oshiomhole. You see, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, you can love him, you can hate him, but he has emerged as, you know, a quintessential legislator in the 10th Assembly. I mean, for a first-timer, he has come across as a philosophically grounded legislator. And if you look at the positions he's taking on a number of issues, you will be proud
very
of him.
Active and vibrant.
Proud of him as a
for a
senator.
first-timer.
Honestly, he has excelled, and I hope that he sustains this trajectory and not get distracted by any local or personal politicking around the governance of Edo State. Let him just continue this trajectory. We are going to see that Oshiomhole we used to know as NLC president re-emerge as a nationalistic legislator. And he raised a valid point. This is death penalty. Death penalty. You cannot pass a legislation that prescribes death for an offense through voice vote.
Yeah, voice vote.
No, you cannot do that. And I believe that the presidency is listening and have taken judicious note of his dissenting voice. And I'm sure that, you know, I know how the legislative arm, the legislative arm and executive, I know they have a meeting point, they converge and discuss. I'm sure something will be done to actually review this position so that we do not have a law that will be misused. Because it talks about possession, for example. It talks about dealing, it talks about smuggling. So it is very ambiguous. And you cannot stamp, you know, death penalty or such an ambiguous law. Besides, Nigerians have also joked that, look, if there's anything that needs the urgency of death penalty in Nigeria, it is corruption as an offense. So why is the National Assembly not prescribing death penalty for corruption? Why are they in a hurry to do that for drug dealing? None is better than the other. I mean, both of them are things that are not desirable in society. But the Oshiomhole has a valid point, and I believe that the National Assembly must take a second look at that position he has held, and even the executive too should have a way of returning that legislation back to the National Assembly for proper debating.
Can you enlighten us that the voice votes was just it shouldn't have been voice votes, it should have been voting?
What he wanted was for the chamber to be divided into two. So let them properly vote on this, because he said, look, this is not a joke. This is human life is involved. So let's have the chambers divided into two so that people can appropriately vote on this matter. But what we saw was the Deputy Senate President who presided over the session deciding that it had to be decided via a voice vote. And once that decision was taken, he didn't look back. He ruled Oshiomhole out of order, and another senator from the South who also tried to say, gentlemen, why don't you let us do it this way? That one was also ruled out of order, and the decision of the Senate President prevailed. But, you know, I am one of those who have argued that our punishment for drug peddling and all that, when you look at the punishments prescribed, it largely does not deter people from committing this kind of crimes. Remember what happened to that actress. It amounted to something like a slap in the wrist. In no time, she was out of prison.
Super.
So, whereas if it was outside of our country, no, not, don't need to mention anyone, you know, if it was outside our country, she probably would have paid with her life. But in just a few weeks, people began seeing her up and down. So, yes, illicit drugs are ruining lives. If the NDLA comes out to brief us on some of their breakthroughs and why we are teetering on the edge of emergency on this drug matter, we will know that this is something that we have to give serious attention to. I believe that we need stiffer laws. But even when we talk about death penalty, how many of the governors here, how many of our Nigerian governors are even prepared to execute such judgments? Many of them do not sign. They don't sign such death warrants. I think Oshiomhole is the last person that was reported to have, as a governor, that was reported to have signed a death warrant. The rest of them don't want to do it. So, if it is life imprisonment that we want for the biggest crimes in our country, let's go ahead and say, but if there was a situation in which governors will not sign the death penalty, it's distressing. Yes, it makes nonsense of the effort of those judges sitting on a case for years. At the end of the day, their judgment is not executed. So, for me, I think that in the end, if it is death penalty, I mean, if it is a life imprisonment that we want, let's have it. But I guess they are trying to do what happened during the Buhari years. At that time, even if you were passing an illicit drug to an individual, you get the same death by firing squad. If somebody was standing on the rooftop and he threw the bag of illicit drug, maybe heroin or cocaine at you, you are going to get death penalty. Yes, it looks to me that is what some people are angling for. But to say those who trade in it, those who possess. That's what I'm saying, because I know a particular person who got hold of it
without necessarily knowing.
He didn't even know the content.
Exactly.
And he got death penalty during that was cool. So many people have not forgotten Buhari for that. So yes, we want better laws, but are we ready to even execute such judgments when they come?
But must give kudos to the NDLA for
they are doing a good job.
Yes, the war on drugs.
Doing a good job.
All right.